I think I have to pay for it. So I have like 20 hours left or something. Let's show up in your
Is he really the time you do?
What's up?
Yeah. If you're at work, stand up or whatever.
Right. Just give me a second. I'm getting ready to. Christy's filling up my thing for me, and I'm getting ready to. There you go. Christy's getting ready to fill up my smoker. I have to run. Get some TP. I bought food, but nothing to. I bought the entrance stuff, but not the exit stuff.
Entrance, but not the exit. I like that.
Yeah, when you buy the entrance stuff, food, you
food
didn't need the exit stuff.
And clean it up, right? Yeah.
Let's put that on. I can take that. So Reno May just made a video. He posted it 38 minutes ago or something. 40 minutes ago. I'll be back. Posted. You want to go with me?
I'm not dressed.
Oh, okay. I'll go. Yeah, you're good. He posted a video about 40 minutes ago. Hey, get off the computer. It's your brother's turn right now. Right now. Not 3 minutes from now, right now. Silas, it's your turn on the computer. It's your turn on the computer, and then it's bedtime. And it's 11 o'clock at night. But anyway, he posted a video about this Air Force dude that beat his wife and kid or something. The Air Force didn't report it. And he keeps touting about how I gotta grab my hat. About how this all could have been stopped. He shouldn't have had a firearm, or however exactly he said it. I watched the video twice just to make sure that I understood what was being said. And what I understood was being said was that Reno May was supporting the very things he claims to be against. The problem is emotion. So when you involve emotion in anything, shit just goes south. But what he did, in my opinion, is he supported everything he claims to be against. Background checks. And supported infringements. Because this dude was a piece of shit. Now, whether or not he was a piece of shit's a different conversation, and whether or not he should have even been in the streets is a different conversation. But to say that there's all kinds of things that should have stopped this guy, stopped this from happening before it happened, fuck you, dude. You're supporting the same shit that you claim to be against. And they wonder why we can't get past government doing it. You know what I mean? Like, no. What should have happened was the adults should have been able to protect themselves. No, he mentions that but he still talks about how this dude should have been able to get a firearm. Well, yeah, he should have. He had every right to have a firearm. He didn't have the right to hurt other people with that firearm who did not first hurt him or who did not endanger his life. And people we have a lot of trouble separating issues, and by not being able to separate the issues in our own mind because of emotion, the majority of the time, other times because of just plain flat out indoctrination or stupidity, we wind up supporting things that we say that we are against. So, at a minimum, he supported pre-crime, minority report, red flag type things, and background checks. At a minimum, you go even further, say that he supports some other stuff. I don't know. I left the link in the description. Go watch the video. Come back and tell me if I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. PHFL 101 is supposed to be on here. I left the link at the top if you aren't here, Paul. And let's talk about it. Am I saying it wrong? Do we have a right? Can we say that we are pro Second Amendment, patriotic constitutionalists who believe that all gun laws are infringements, and they complain when a gun law doesn't stop somebody and say that it should have stopped them? Fuck out of here. No. I mean, like, I'm not saying that this Air Force dude was right by any means, but to say that there's laws that should have stopped them only fucking empowers the pricks up top to then further strengthen them laws with further restriction. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense in my mind. I don't know why. I don't see how people don't see it. You watch the video and you go down and read through the comments section, and nobody points this out. Everybody just says something, something along the lines of what he says, instead of saying, "Hey, dude, what are you saying that you support here? Why didn't you say that? Just stick with the adults and the adults whoever it affected. Honestly, you know what? I don't even know who it affected. I watched it twice. I was so aggravated about what he was saying that I didn't even pay attention to what actually happened. I know, terrible. Right? Oh, yeah, this place is open. Hopefully it is. We need poo-poo paper. Hopefully it's open. Oh man. But go watch it. It's in the description and come back and say, hey, Freedom Inc., you're a fucking idiot. Or, hey, Freedom Inc., I see what you're saying. Regardless, I just don't see that. You know, like he has a big following, 100,000, something like that. I just don't get it. I don't get how these dudes continue to do this at 6 a.m. to 11. What time is it? 11:21. Yeah, I'm late. Okay, that store ain't gonna work. Next door. We'll go somewhere else. It's frustrating. I think Coda Boy has bailed on the live stream. Multiple reasons. Talked about that the other day. I threw out a thing to Hank Strange, see if you want to do a live. I'm going to do a live stream with a dude called the Blind Sniper. If you haven't watched his channel, go over and watch it. I don't know too much about his position when it comes to rights, and that's kind of why I said, hey, you want to do a live stream? Just to A, see where he's at, and B, see where he's at. That will be happening. He emailed me last night, so it should be happening within the next few weeks, I would say. Hold on, we're good. Who else does I sent an email out to? I forget. Text John Crump today. He texted me back. I'll try to get that going too. I think we might take Freedom Inc. 2 and go a different direction with it. Maybe just try to do some interviews with people and start asking the hard questions that people want to ask. I don't know why they want to ask them. I don't think they knew the question to ask them, to be honest with you. I think they're so comfortable in their little circle of fucking echoes of hearing the same bullshit repeatedly that, you know, that maybe that's why nobody asks them the hard questions. I don't know. It's some weird shit. Oh, sorry, guys. I can't read comments. Oh, wait, hold on. Is this Paul Wall? There he is. What's up, man?
Hey.
Did you watch the video?
No, I didn't.
I put it in the description.
Yeah, I see it there. I should have watched it, but
yeah, I just think that I'm just so sick of people saying that they do one thing and then, you know, I genuinely try not to be a hypocrite, especially if I make a public statement. I try to think about every direction that somebody's going to look at it, and I don't know, man. It's frustrating. You know how I feel. We've had these talks,
right?
Well,
yeah, I guess I'm a little out of the loop just because I haven't watched it. I probably should have.
Yeah, I've actually been staying off YouTube and mainstream media lately, man. You'd be surprised. I've actually gotten a lot of shit done in the past 5 days, since 5 or 6 days, since I slowed down watching it. Because, like, you know, I'd wake up in the middle of the night in my sleep and start watching my phone. So it became kind of an addiction in a way. And you seem to get a lot more done when you're not on your phone all.
Exactly.
How you doing up there?
Good. I got a little bit done today. It was a long project to get, I got the motorhome, and I finally got the starter out of it today. And it needed a new starter solenoid it's the 6.9 Cummins. And, you'd think that, it's not your normal starter solenoid. It's a little bit heavier duty than a normal one. And there's a few different kinds of starters on those. So you got to do a little bit of research. But I go in, I got all the numbers, go in, nobody's got it. I mean, it's not available in any auto parts store anywhere.
Is it a 12 valve? Is it a 12 valve?
It's the 12 valve, but the starters are the same. But they don't. Napa, O'Reilly's, none of these people sell just the starter solenoid. They want to sell you those starter, and it's not a bad price. They got them for like $127, which isn't bad, and it's a gear reduction starter and everything. But there's nothing wrong with a starter. I just need a new solenoid. I bought it off eBay for $25. But it just, I don't know. Like I say, what's going on with this country when you can't even buy a starter solenoid anymore?
Well, that's partially our fault, man. I mean, like all these mortar and brick and mortar shops are shutting down because it's easier to hit the button. You can get it cheaper. If you can buy it on eBay for $25, your other option is $125. What are you going to do?
Exactly. Well, that was for the whole starter was $125. Just
right,
starter solenoid,
Right, but that was your only option.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I can buy the starter online for $67.
Right. So if you was right, so your only option is to buy one from a brick and mortar store, or you can still find it cheaper online.
Exactly. Yeah. I love shopping online, but I also love, I love supporting the local businesses. But when you go to a hardware store, I don't know if you guys have Ace Hardware, that kind of stuff down there, but when you go to Ace Hardware to buy a piece of 14-foot or whatever lengths of copper pipe, and they want, I mean, I don't even know the prices. I'm just throwing it off my head, but $50 for a piece of copper pipe when you can go to Home Depot and buy it for $6. It makes. I mean, I've actually gotten in a fight at a hardware hang over that pricing. They threw me out.
There are some Ace Hardwares around. I don't go to them. When I try to go to this little place up the road here, like if I just need like hardware stuff or certain things, I'll go to this hardware store. But majority of the time, we just go to Home Depot. But if it's something like hardware related, and that's it, I will go to that hardware store.
Yeah. I can see the comments, so I might just respond to people as I see stuff. But like Nick said, what's the topic? And it was Reno to start the Reno video, but I never watched it, so we're kind of just winging it right now.
So the Reno video, apparently there was an Air Force guy in the Air Force that beat his wife and kid. The Air Force didn't report it. He then later buys a gun, and apparently, actually, I was so pissed off about what Reno was saying, I totally forget what the guy did. Shame on me, right? But I didn't even care about that part because, he was talking about how that he should have never got the gun. Well, yeah, he should have got the gun, but the people around him, the adults in the room, should have been able to protect themselves and the ones around them. I mean, we got to stop worrying about other people and what other people can and cannot do until they, willfully violate your rights or attempt to. We have no say in what they do, because when you start playing that game, now he supports the red flag minority report tactics. He also supports background checks. He doesn't see it that way, of course, because this dude's a piece of shit who shouldn't be on the street. He said all that. Well, that's a different conversation.
Right. Well, red flag stuff is ridiculous. I mean, that is fully enforced. It's kind of always been there in the background anyhow. But if you call up the sheriff and say, you can tell on anybody. It's always been that way. But
right. Well, my thing about red flags is you don't even have to own firearms to get red flagged and then come kicking your door.
True.
Like look at this dude, just chilling. $25 an hour, just chilling, and in the AC. Those security job. So, oh, that's security. I thought it was freaking Fairfield. guess they got security here for some reason, and like they can do anything. It amazes me. Like, so our government does a lot of things that is like scare tactics, right? I'm going to compare this store to it, and maybe people will see it. So, like, if you walk into Myers, you see all these cameras, right, everywhere, right? So, if you walk in here in the middle of the night and your intent was to, let's say, steal, $1,000 worth of product or whatever it is, your thought would be, the human mind says, well, if I'm the only person in the store, the security is going to be watching me, right? But Myers and Walmart's, as of 10 years ago, I don't know about now, don't really care, had no security in the store from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Our government works a lot the same ways, where they use all these scare tactics. So, like red flag laws. Don't say how you feel, because you might get red flagged, or you might be deemed an extremist. Does that make sense? You understand what I mean?
Exactly. Yep.
And like, people fall for that shit all the time, man. It's just scary shit, man. I don't know.
What are you shopping for right now?
Toilet paper.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, but I got a thing. Anytime I come into Myers, I don't even ask me why I do, because I always go look at the golf balls, see what kind of golf balls they got in.
I gotta look at something here.
I know. That's funny, ain't it? I've been out of the golf ball business for 8 years, but I still am interested in golf balls and what people are buying. And they're expensive. So, like, here's what I would do, just so you know. Like, people don't understand, like, how much money is in golf balls, especially when you buy them by the truckload. Where are the golf balls now? Oh, here they are. Okay. So,
hey, Real Talk News posted something here, and I'll rewatch the video, but there's no, wordage like yours makes no sense when you call people a fucking moron just because they're wrong. I mean, I just don't understand why you would make a comment like that. So,
me?
No, not you. You made a comment about you.
Oh.
But it doesn't matter. You don't make a comment about that on this thing for anybody. This is just conversation, wrong or right.
Anyone or in kind of existing gun laws. He's not even speaking in real freedom. He usually put good stuff out, but on this, you're a fucking moron and wrong about Reno. I watched the video, and nowhere did he say anything you claim in the title, nor did he advocate for. He did he not? Why? Okay, so let's just say that you're right, Real Talk News. Why did he say that he should have been stopped, and then start talking about the gun laws, and then start talking about, this piece of shit shouldn't even be on the street, blah, 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 blah. Yes, that's what that's doing. If you want to make a video and say, hey, this piece of shit committed this act, and the problem is the laws that kept those adults around or whatever from getting firearms or having firearms to protect them, that should have been the whole video. All that other shit about, what happened in the Air Force, that doesn't matter. That shit happened in his fucking past. So yes, he is supporting what he claims to be against. 100%. That's what he's doing. I know you don't see it. I know you didn't. You and the other 40,000 people that's watched the video or is going to watch the video won't see it either. That's exactly what he did. Because he said to call him if he said he was wrong. But I'm not wrong. Not like the whole first, it was a 7-minute video, 6-minute video. The first 4 minutes of it could have been skipped. And he could have just went to, this happened. Why is there laws in place keeping these people from protecting themselves? And that should have been the end of the video. Nothing that dude did prior to that matters. Because if you believe it matters, and you believe that should keep him from owning a firearm, you then don't believe in fucking rights. It's kind of simple.
Exactly.
Watch the video. I mean, that's kind of how it is. I mean, that's how I see it. And I know a lot of people don't see it that way. If you're bringing up what happened before, you are supporting the very bullshit that you claim to be against. Like, have you ever heard me talk about something that happened and said, well, this fucker did this shit 10 years ago. This law should have stopped it. Like, why even bring it up?
Exactly.
But the problem, like I said, it's an echo chamber. Everybody's content with being in this echo chamber and hearing, the same shit, and then convincing themselves that they don't support this thing because
generally when it
what?
Sorry, I was just clicking on it. I wanted to look at Reno.
Oh yeah, watch it real quick. Let it play in the background so I can hear it.
Yeah.
comes to who's to blame for violent acts in this world, I think generally it's a good idea to place that blame on individuals who do those violent acts. At the same time, there might be certain situations where certain people are empowered or enabled due to a certain amount of negligence by a third party that allows certain things to happen.
So stop real quick. So a certain amount of negligence by a third party. There's no third party. The dude has the right to keep and bear arms, period. There's no if you're talking about negligence by a third party, you are then supporting pre-crime shit. You're then using the dude's background to say whether or not he now has the right to keep and bear arms. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yep, here we go.
2017 shooting in a Texas church, we actually knew for a while that the person who used those firearms was not legally able to own a firearm, or should have been denied the ability to buy a firearm. And quite honestly, I think a lot of...
So why? What does any of that shit have to do? If you're a pro-rights, what does any of that shit have to do with the conversation? Nothing.
Right, but this is a typical example of the guys that you argue with on, not argue with, but try to get your point across to on so many levels. I mean, I've been with you, at your side when we've spoken to people and they literally get up, they get offensive, they get in your face, and if they actually sit back and listen to what you say, and they're open to what's true, everyone who has heard what you say agrees with you in the end. I mean, I disagreed with you on a few things until I sat back and started thinking about it, and I mean, that's why you and I have come to be friends, because you're saying something that that blew my mind, and it's totally true. So.
I'm sorry, hang on 1 second. Can you take one of these off because there's only one here, please? I don't know how I did that. I'm sorry. My bad. I accidentally ran up 2 toilet papers. Well, thanks, man. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Okay. Are you in the self-checkout? Oh, my God.
They don't have anybody out here, dude.
I guess. Make sure
I got one handful. I know. I don't. Well, my teeth hurt.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get play on this guy again here.
Yeah, keep playing. My bad. I'm sorry.
Stuff should have happened to this piece of shit anyway. But we're trying to talk about the 2017 shooting that went down in Texas and some information that we learned about how the Air Force is most to blame, and I'm putting that in quotes, for the 2017 church shooting. Now, this was according to a judge that actually ruled on the case. This is really what grinds my gears. This was used as a way to advocate for gun control when it showed that not only do disarmed people choose to follow the law and then not have means to protect themselves, but also that even with the rules on the books, getting the people in power who are trying to advocate for this gun control to actually comply with the law and prohibit these people is ridiculous. Now, thankfully, in this situation, after the atrocities occurred, someone was able to actually take action and take down the gunman, but it's unfortunate that nothing was able to be stopped sooner. When we talk about how this could have been...
Yeah, so I mean, is this the story of where the guy went into the Air Force base?
No, he went into the church down in Texas, and then the NRA dude shot him. I think it's that one.
The guy went to his house with the AR-15 and came out with...
No. I believe it's the one where the guy came into the church with a shotgun.
Okay.
I could be wrong there. But right here is where he really starts talking, I think.
All right, but I mean, he says, yeah, somebody stepped in and stopped. So the good guy with a gun stopped the bad guy with a gun. That's all I was
Right.
going to say. I mean,
Right.
there's no argument for that whatsoever. The only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. There's no other way.
Don't disagree with you, but their logic is that if we ban all these guns, it'll make it harder for the criminals to get them. And I keep telling people, like, I hate to break everybody's heart, but criminals, let's just ban. If that's the case, I don't know why everybody isn't saying let's ban murder, make murder illegal, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Well, first of all, we know that's not going to work. It doesn't make sense. But second of all, that example has been tried and played out how many times? I mean,
I know.
Canada, Australia, Europe. I mean, everywhere. And I mean, we all know the whole purpose behind the, gun control is the government, trying to disarm people. I mean, that's the only purpose behind it.
Right. Right. I mean, they know that they're not going to take guns out of the hand of people that have evil intent. It's about taking guns out of your hand so they can, further tax you and control you.
Exactly.
So let it play a little bit more and listen to what he says.
Here we go.
Prevented, this is one of the situations that is tangible that shows if the laws were actually enforced, they could have actually kept him from doing this in the first place. Under federal law, Mr. Kelly should not have been allowed to buy the military.
So what did he just say? He is pro-enforcement of those laws. That's what he just said. If these laws would have been enforced, this wouldn't have happened. And he goes on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I want to interrupt you.
All right, I can slow it down to normal speed, but I kicked it up to 125 just for.
That's fine.
All right.
Style rifle or 3 other guns he owned. He bought the weapons after he was convicted in 2012 of domestic assault against his wife and toddler stepson. In his 2012 court-martial, Mr. Kelly admitted that he had repeatedly hit the child's head with his hands, cracking his skull. But then we look at this and it says Kelly's domestic violence offense was not entered into the National Information Center database by the Holloman Air Force Base Office of Special Investigations. So the Air Force chose to not report that this man beat his wife and cracked his toddler stepson's skull with his bare fucking hands. People like that, we need to get rid of them. Get them out of society, lock them up, throw away the fucking key, make them fight in gladiator fights if they want to have food. I don't give a shit. These people are not people. We should take them out back and put them down like we would a dog that went feral. These people are not people. They are not worth the air that they are taking from people like you and me. The fact that we have a situation that was so terrible and so easily preventable simply by the Air Force doing their fucking job, and then the fact that in addition to that, we have such a fucked up criminal justice system that people like this are allowed to just walk among us. Anyone that's going to be willing to beat the shit out of a kid and beat the shit out of their wife, they should be put the fuck down. End of story. I don't know what you guys think down below. This is going to be a shorter video.
That's it. Well, it seems like kind of a stupid video, actually. Doesn't make any sense.
Right. So he let emotion take over his thought process. And now it's about this dude's a piece of shit. So the Air Force didn't do their job. Well, I thought you was pro-rights. If you were pro-rights, then it doesn't matter. Well, number one, it doesn't matter what happened in the past. Number two, why are you pro-gun control because the Air Force entering this into this database is part of gun control.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, if I was to watch it again, it doesn't make any sense to me. So, I mean, whatever. I don't. Well, like I've never actually watched the guy before, so.
Right. Well, he's trying to say that these laws are in place, and because the Air Force didn't enter him into the NCIC bullshit for domestic violence, he didn't. He was able to buy this firearm, which he shouldn't have been able to buy by law. So, if that's your argument, then it's a bogus. If he was pro-rights, he would say this thing happened. The problem is that everybody there wasn't armed to protect themselves. Everybody there wasn't aware of the situation. They wasn't situationally aware. That's the problem. Not all the pre-existing shit fucking don't even matter.
Yeah,
and if you believe it,
it's completely irrelevant that the Air Force did something or didn't. It makes no difference at all. I mean, that makes, that's completely irrelevant. He could have done what he did with anything, you know.
Right. Well, still though, if you're pro rights, why does any of that matter? If you're anti gun control, why does any of that matter? It doesn't. But it matters to him because he wants to make the argument because this guy is this piece of shit who beat up his wife and his child. And the truth is that not all domestic violence cases fall under the federal. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Don't fall under the federal guidelines for domestic violence. Does that make sense? So, like some domestic violence, it depends on how the report's written up. The federal domestic violence law is kind of vague, so there's a lot of room for working around that law if somebody wanted to. So, I mean, even though it was a child, even though it was his wife, he possibly may have possibly been a domestic violence that didn't have to be entered into with the IC.
Yeah. Well, I mean, domestic violence is a whole other subject. I mean, that doesn't. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's been happening in that situation in his family. That's obviously it didn't start that day, you know. Well, maybe it did. I don't know, but I mean,
doubtful.
You know, I would guess it didn't.
But I still stand with my statement. Reno May supports exactly what he claims to be against.
Well, yeah, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth.
Right.
But is he a military vet or what is his?
I don't think so. Man. I think he just worked in the gun shop for a couple of years and then kind of became a YouTuber.
All right.
I'm hearing feedback, Paul. Do you have me on the computer? I'm sorry. Not bad. I thought I was earlier too, and I was just like, probably not. But I heard now.
Yeah, I might have my volume up too high here on the feedback.
I hear me.
Oh,
you're on the PC, aren't you?
Yeah.
The speakers, yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
My bad, man.
I don't know. I can't hear it. You sound good to me.
It's frustrating that. Well, if you can't hear it, then it should be fine. It's just frustrating that people don't see it, just like Dude didn't see it. He told me that Reno May didn't say what I said he did.
Right. Well, he did.
Right. I thought
your analysis is 100% on.
And it's frustrating. It's frustrating that people hear this shit and then they believe it's okay when it's totally not okay. You know, what you did last week doesn't matter. If you were free in society, you had the right to keep and bear arms, period. I don't care what it is. Now, if you want to talk about the justice system and the sentencing guidelines and shit like that, we can have that conversation, but it has nothing to do with the right to keep and bear arms. If you're free in society, you got to pay taxes. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, like, if you want to get technical about it, I mean, like, federal felons, they can't vote or own firearms for the rest of their lives by federal law. And there's no way right now to fix that because the feds put funding in that department that actually took care of that. So they can't vote. They have no say in what happens with their money, yet they have to. They're forced by the end of a barrel to pay taxes. I mean, it's taxation without representation.
Exactly. It's worse now than what. I mean, it's many times worse now than how this country was founded. I mean, if you want to get right down to it.
I agree. I mean, they I can't remember if it was Franklin or Jefferson that said, when asked what the main cause of the Revolutionary War was, they said a unsound monetary system. And they paid about a 3 to 4 argument. It depends who you talk to. I've heard all the way up to 15% tax, but let's call it 10% tax for the argument. And the threat of confiscation of firearms. And they did confiscate some firearms. I mean, look in our country, though. They've been confiscating firearms for years. How many people's in prison right now, not for committing an act of violence with a firearm, but just having a firearm. Look at New York with the stop and frisk shit they were doing. That's gun confiscation. When they pat you down, take your shit, and they take you and kidnap you, that's gun confiscation. Like, all that
we are far more oppressed today than they were then. The difference is that they had the spirit of liberty within them, and as a country, we don't today.
Yeah.
It's going to get real hairy, Brandon. I'm sorry, I'm back here reading comments now. Hey, what's up, Travis Tucker? He says, "Oh, looky, degenerates. Good evening." You're
see,
extreme.
I didn't realize you could click on it like that and bring it up on the screen. That's cool.
Yeah, I can do it. I don't know if you can do it or not. You can try. See if you can do it. It may let you.
No.
So, yeah, hey, Pop Tart, what's up? So I can click on it on my phone and it pops up.
Yeah, I
can leave it up or take it back down, or
Did you get Darcy's email?
Or I haven't looked yet.
Okay. Well, he was asking.
I'm sure I did. I just haven't looked, Darth, if you're on here. And I can just go right to the next email or the next comment.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that Discord thing I was talking about earlier. What's his name? Apparently set up a Discord account in Freedom Inc.'s name. But I don't. You've used Discord, or is it your Discord account?
It's my account, ain't it, Chris?
What?
It's my account, right? But we just have people that can moderate it, right?
On what?
Discord.
I think so.
Yes.
Because he sent me an email and shared it.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I haven't been on there.
The picture on it is a black chick. Is that right?
No. Is it black chick?
Who is?
On the Freedom Inc. account. What picture is on there?
Let me see if I can figure out how to show you what it is.
Oh, I can have my son go there tonight and mess with it. I need to get on there more, man. I need to start. I need to try to. I need to start taking it more serious. Maybe I don't want to operate it like a business though, dude. You know,
right.
like I have Patreon, which 99.95% of the shit I put on there, and the public can see, so it's free. I had like 20 Patreons. I'm down to 16 now. A few people dropped out, and I get it. You know what I mean? You're not really getting anything for your money that you can't get for free. But like that money helps. Like that money paid for us to go to Columbus that day to do the Asseveration Day with Travis and them. Like, that's where I was able to get the film with the cops. And like I don't keep any of that money. I don't. You know what I mean? Like I don't. Right. None of that money's for me. All that money. The last of it we went to Columbus with, I think. And then I believe what I had left before that went to Dry Fire. We wound up sending Dry Fire $605 or $655, one of the two, is what we raised for Dry Fire. It's just I don't know. I think, but if I don't want to run it like a business though, where I'm making money from it. Or
I just sent you a screenshot to Freedom to their Gmail of what I get. It's actually pretty hilarious.
Why?
Well, just because it says a man didn't send this video or something, and then it's a picture of, I don't know, some black chick.
Oh, I'll check it out later. My son has my doesn't Trayden have full access to it? Ain't he the head dude in charge?
Who?
Trayden. But like I said, I don't, in order for it to grow, I have to treat it more like it's a business. In order to treat it more like a business, money has to be involved. And I want it to be like a donation type thing. You know what I mean? Like if you want to help out, if you want to help the cause, more power to you, donate. But when you do it like that, people are they don't donate. You know what I mean? Like every now and then people do.
Right.
But, I got a $100 donation a few months ago. Somebody that had checked out my channel after Barricade Garage's shout out. And then I have one sub that, a handful of times sent $5. But other than Patreon, like even when we put that Streamlabs link up and stuff, nobody ever uses it.
Right. Well, I think you just have to come up with what are you going to do? What's your plan? And you don't need to do that now. we got bigger fish to fry right now, which is where you guys going to move to, where you know, is this going to move into something? You know, is it going to grow into something else?
Right. I think when it comes to the move, man, I think we've kind of decided that we don't know, so we're just going to kind of. I mean, our kids are homeschooled, so as long as we have access to the internet, they can do their schoolwork. I think we might just jump in the car and go talk to people, man. I mean, we got 50 states to choose from. We're not buttoned down to anything specific. And with what's going on in the country right now, I mean, Missouri. Like I said, I'm not a big supporter of SAPA in its current form, but they are going to be trying to do stuff with SAPA that could totally change the game up in Missouri when it comes to firearms laws. You know, like. So there's like we talked about my record and all that, and I can legally own firearms in Ohio. There's some loopholes that if the federal government could probably maybe do something, they don't know because it's just like a gray area. Nobody's ever heard of my situation. It's just never been brought to light before. So legally I can own firearms, but there's no question that my wife can't, right?
Right.
So she goes buys the firearms. Keeps them in the house, they kick in the door. What are they going to do? They're going to hit me with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So even when she owned firearms, it was a big pain in the ass having to, make sure that I wasn't there at the house with them by myself or at her place or whatever. And it became a big pain in the ass. But I don't know, like just like that, working that out. I don't know, man. It just. What was Chris's idea?
He was talking about taking guns out.
Oh yeah. So Chris Harris wants a bunch of us to go to like Columbus and set up some tables and do the thing. You remember when Steven Crowder did the something about guns and he laid all the guns out on the table and let people like touch them and handle them and shit like that.
Yep.
So Chris Harris thinks that we should do that. And like I'm all up for it, but I think that we need to get a few people together with different types of guns, ARs, AKs, pistols, but I also think we need to bring other shit like chainsaws and hammers, and we don't need to treat them any different. So if we run a chain through
buckets,
right? So if we run a chain through the trigger guard of an AR laying on the table, we need to drill a hole and run a chain through the handle of a hammer. And just let people know they're all tools. More people die with a hammer every year than the AR-15. So why is it that they are so after these firearms?
Yeah, well, way more people with a handgun than an AR-15. I mean, nobody dies from an AR-15. In perspective, in percentages, but I'm pretty sure there's more knife deaths than any handgun deaths. We can look all that up, but. And if you get rid of the guns, it just switches over to the knives.
Right.
In Europe, in Europe they're literally banning steak knives.
Right.
Scarface said, I'm sure about everything.
Yeah, well, Scarface said, I'll post it up there. What did he say after that?
He says Scarface.
They didn't get in trouble.
70 years. You got two guys.
I'm not saying that, Scarface. Like you have to realize that every situation is different. I don't want them to be able to. I don't want there to be no gray area, right? So I'm not saying that it would cause a problem. I'm saying it could cause a problem. So I've heard of cases where somebody has broken into a house to harm somebody with firearms. A felon in the home used a firearm to protect his family and then went to prison for having the fucking firearm. This shit's happening in Ohio. I was locked up. Who's I locked up with that something like that happened to? I was locked up with somebody that had a situation like that happen. So like in Texas has a weird law. So after 5 years, their felons by state law can own a firearm. I think it has to be a shotgun if I'm not mistaken.
Travis Tucker, you might be right. They might have already banned knives, and then they moved on to hammers. Oh, sorry to interrupt. It was funny.
No, you're all right. I think they actually banned. I think you have to, in order to buy a steak knife, you have to have a background check and shit. If I'm not mistaken. I'll call somebody and ask them later or text them. But,
you gotta have. What do they call it? well, rather than saying,
Have a piece of your cigarette pack.
because I got a charge one time for a possession of a assault weapon, and it was they opened up my scuba diving bag with all my scuba diving stuff, and I had a scuba diving knife, which are those big, those damn 12-inch solid knives, and I mean the whole, in order to charge you with it, they have to show proof of intent. Well, I mean, that's out. Once they can charge you with anything they want, and once you're charged, you're screwed, because you can't even ever get that off your record. But then you go in, then you can go, well, proof of intent. I mean, it's in my damn diving bag. What do you think I'm going to do with it? It's, I mean, was I stabbing somebody with it? No. And
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's a whole nother topic. But the knife.
So in Texas, once you get out of prison, you can own a shotgun for home defense, but you can't take it anywhere. It has to be at your home. So the way the law's written, I read it at one time, the way I understood it is that it would literally have to be delivered to your home, kept at your home in order for it to be legal. So you couldn't even actually go get it. And that's Texas law. That's Texas law that their felons can do that, right? It's law. There's fucking like 5 or 6 people in federal prison right now for having shotguns as felons out of Texas. So the federal government came in and kicked the door, and they don't, like I said, they don't use the local cops like they used to. It's not like they call Barney Fife and have Barney Fife help investigate. The feds, through the Patriot Act, now have free reign to enforce whatever they want in any state. Until these governors stand up, these legislatures stand up and stop the shit, it's only going to continue to get worse. Why do you think they're arming these bitches with MRAPs and shit?
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking Texas, which is the last stand for that kind of argument. I mean, there's no state right now where the feds can't walk into freely and do whatever the hell they want. I mean, there is no state. I mean, it doesn't exist.
Right, and that come out of the Civil War in Lincoln, because they believe that federal law trumps state law when it just doesn't. But regardless, I don't want there to be a gray area. You know what I mean? As long as we're playing the game how we are, then I got to play kind of by the rules to a certain degree. But I don't want to kick in my door because my wife has, her carry gun or some shit here, locked up in a safe or whatever, and then they try to say, oh, you had access to it because it's your wife. And nobody can answer the question. You call the ATF today and ask them, and they won't answer you. They'll tell you that they'll say I don't know. They'll tell you to contact an attorney. I'm like, yeah, okay, my attorney said it was fucking great that he couldn't answer the question.
Well, I'm not an attorney, but I think all you have to do is, if you put a tag on it and says, Freedom Inc. can't use this weapon, it's not allowed to use. I think that's good enough.
Right.
It's like in the old days. I don't know if you remember CB radios and semi trucks.
Yeah.
A CB radio transmits about 10 miles, and they used to have. Well, they still have them. They're totally illegal, but they've got these power adapters that they can mount on there, and it'll transmit 110 miles.
What?
And, oh yeah, they were called Coyote boxes, and they mount them on there. And when you keyed the mic, you transmitted on every channel on the CB radio, but it transmitted it for 110 miles. And so you could talk to other people. I mean, totally illegal. It just rather than say, 8 watts of power, it jammed, 140 watts of power into the frequency, just like a radio station would do. But the guys could run them in their trucks because they had a sticker stuck on it, and it said, for emergency use only. But they'd turn it on and use it all the time. But, when the cops pulled them over, they said, you can't have that, it's for emergency use only. So it got by a little loophole. You can always get around stuff. But
right, but I mean, like, man, we're like, you start talking about the feds, man. I mean, you're talking 10 years. Gun case was 10 years, period. I don't give a fuck if you got, but it's. Oh, funny. Here's something funny I read about. I need to post the article. So,
There's a felon that gets caught with a full auto, right? They kick in the door, they find a full auto. He wasn't in the commission of a crime or nothing like that. It goes all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court found that if he would have tried to register the full auto or got licensing in order to own the full auto, he would have been incriminating himself. So, as a felon, if you are prohibited, you're in no more danger for having a full auto than you are having a fucking AR when it comes to the federal law.
Where was that?
I think it was in New York.
Damn.
I mean, that ain't crazy. What?
Like,
Well,
the building seat just go with it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, whatever. Who cares? Who wants a full auto? It's useless.
They are. I mean, I could see, like, if you're at war, there'd be a use for, like, for suppressive fire or something. Other than that, though, they're junk.
Yeah.
You know, like even the bump stocks were. I mean, they're a range toy, but other than that, there's really no use for them.
No, well, don't get me started on that bump stock. I mean, the bump stock is a toy. It's a fun toy to play with. But I don't need a bump stock to shoot my AR fully out. Or, you know, I can put if you put your thumb in your pocket and I put my finger down there, I can run a bump stock. I can run it just like any bump stock. Actually, better. And
if you put the right buffer weight in it, and you can actually learn to bump fire from your shoulder if you know what I mean. Take the time to do it.
Totally, yeah. But I mean, it's a toy. It's a waste of time. It serves no real accuracy purpose and whatever. I mean, there's a place for fully automatic, but
I kind of disagree with that. I think it's like anything else, man. It takes practice. You know what I mean? I think, like, I know people that.
So are you saying that the guy down in was it the Las Vegas shooting was shooting a bump stock down there for 35 minutes?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that
he practiced.
Bump stocks can be just as accurate as any other 5.56 full auto. It just takes practice.
How long can you shoot one though?
Oh, I mean,
how long is a muscle for your muscle memory? You cannot. I would argue that you can do it for a period of time, but nowhere near the period of time of having an actual switch where you can fully automatic and hold against your shoulder.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, he was also shooting from a bipod, allegedly.
Yeah, that's a conspiracy. I'm just saying, for argument's sake, though, the bump stock you can accurately shoot it with the right training, but for how long? How many magazines can you shoot?
I mean, I think that. I mean, I don't think that it takes. It might take a little more energy to shoot a bump stock rather than. The full autos are kind of hard to handle. It's really weird. It takes for the first time anybody grabs a full auto, they're like, wait a second, when they pull the trigger, because it does something completely different than what you expect them to do. I don't, whether or not there's a use for it or it's practical or whatever, I don't care. I think that you should be able to own whatever you want to own, period. And if we start playing it makes people safer game, we should ban, corn syrup. Let's ban Snickers bars. Let's ban automobiles. Let's ban dentists. Hell, doctors killed 250,000 people last year. Let's ban doctors, just for the sake of the kids.
Yeah, the firearm argument is a moot point. I mean, the only thing that makes America different than anybody else, the reason we are who we are is because of freedom. And that was the original thoughts of it. And we have freedom. That's why it's the greatest country in the world. That's why everybody's trying to come here. And, the gun laws are useless. They're stupid. They make no sense.
Well,
all this stuff makes no sense.
Well, it's got to be about control, because they know that people don't, the only person that's going to follow gun laws are people that don't want to go to jail, people that fear consequences more than they love their rights. Those are the only people that are going to listen to laws. It's like it's ruled through fear. You're going to do this or else. The guy who's going to kill somebody, he doesn't give a shit if he's killing you with a shotgun or a full auto. He's going to kill you with whatever he gets his hands on, And if they removed every firearm in the country today that they knew about, okay, every criminal that wanted one would still have one. When I say criminal, I mean somebody with evil intent, just so to make that clear. They would still have one. You can't, the genie's out of the bottle. There's, 400 plus million firearms they know about. That's how many you think there is that they don't know about.
Right.
Half that many, maybe another 200 million.
Make no mistake about it, though. They are going to attempt to disarm the people of the United States. It's a thought out process, and they're moving forward inch by inch, and they're going to make an attempt. I mean, people in Canada may argue this, but I was in Canada doing some work up there during the time. This was in 2000, probably 2002, 2003. Don't quote me, but that's when Canada started their gun confiscation stuff, and they basically one day they just made a law, and they said, if you don't, we're going to make gun registration is basically what they did, and they said, look, here's the deal. We just need to register them for your own safety, blah blah. And this happened in 2002. I mean, not that long ago. And they said, if you don't register your weapons, we have an X amount of grace period, and if you don't register them between that time, after that point, it's 10 years in prison and $10,000 fine if you get caught. And I mean, I know a lot of guys that buried their stuff. I know, some didn't, whatever. But and then after that, within a year after that, they literally said, okay, now these weapons are banned, and they went door to door and picked them up. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean,
well, here's what I think they're going to do here with this pistol brace thing. I think they're going to pass it. And I think that, they're going to put the pistols on the NFA as SBRs, which would make all Mossberg Shockwaves, TAC 14s, SBSs, and all needed tax stamps. But then they'll say, well, we're going to give you a free tax stamp, guys. This one's on the house. And that's how they're going to start the registration process. And then in a year, they're going to come back and say, well, we figured out that really these rifles shoot at a higher velocity than the pistols. So we need to also put these on the NFA. I mean, it's incremental thing. It's it's a death by 1,000 cuts. We all know it. Are they going to ban firearms in our lifetime? No, it's not going to happen. But in my kid's lifetime, yes, it is going to happen. Unless we put a stop to it. And put a stop to it. There don't even have to be violence.
But the bigger thing is how many. I mean, there's no, from statistically speaking, there's no reason to ban or to change pistol AR-15s, whether they have a pistol brace on them or not. They're not used. They're used in what, 0.1% of any kind of shootings. It makes no sense.
I read somewhere. I'm sorry to interrupt you, really quick. This is for your point. I read somewhere that in the past 5 years that there has been 274 shootings that involved an AR type platform. Okay,
great.
Don't
know
if it's true.
How many shootings has there been? That's even a weekend's worth of shootings in Chicago.
That's nothing.
Right.
That's nothing.
But the truth is that style weapon is very dangerous. I mean, in the hands of the right people, it's no more dangerous than a regular rifle, but you know what I mean.
It's dangerous if you can't protect yourself. It's dangerous if they make it hard for you to defend yourself.
I'm saying it's dangerous for the people on the other end of it.
Right. That's what I mean. Well, yes, it's dangerous if I do something to you, then your AR is dangerous to me. Other than that, it just sits there. It does nothing on its own.
Right.
We can't legislate evil away. I mean, they banned heroin in the teens. So like in 1916, I think is when they banned heroin and cocaine. We have more opiate overdose from heroin today than we have in history in this country. Banning shit does not work. They know it doesn't work, and that's not what it's about. It's not about money. You know, Iraq veteran 88 made a whole big video the other day talking about it's all about the money. It's all about the money. They could care less about the $200. If they want $200, they'll run to the Federal Reserve and say, "Hey, print me off $1 billion." You know what I mean? It's not about the money. They don't care about that. We're so far in debt that's not even an issue. It's about registration. It's about knowing whose door to kick in. Just like with the concealed carry permits and like that shit started. I'm like, you are stupid.
Yeah. TLR asked. He said, "If a well, you can't click on it. You can click on it right there. See his.
I found it.
Okay.
If a pistol AR is used in a crime, does that go under a handgun or a rifle? Well, when I was talking about the platforms, the AR platform, that would have went under both, I think. And I don't know how true that is, but I would say it's probably about accurate. There's not many AR-15s of pistol or rifle length used in crimes. Now they're used in a lot of self-defense situations, but I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, the go-to gun for the crime is pistols. You know, like a modern pistol, Glock, SIG, whatever.
You know, the other thing too is good luck finding a law enforcement officer. I mean, even state troopers that know what an AR-15 pistol is. They don't even know it exists. I mean, I've had to pull out my paperwork more than once and actually explain to them that it's actual pistol, that it can be loaded in my car, that I can take it across state lines, that I can carry it, you know, onto me when I go into Menards, you know. But that's a whole, you know. Again, that's.
Well, like I've been trying to think a lot lately about how to explain to people how this country, when it comes to laws, because our government was allowed to create certain laws, we did give them that authority. Those laws have to coincide with natural law. So realistically speaking, when you're talking about laws that can be enforced by the community, there should only be a handful of laws, maybe 10 of them, if that. But it got out of control when the courts quit doing their job. You know, so if North Carolina, as an example, created an unconstitutional law, by the time it got to the Supreme Court, there was already 5 or 6 states that caught up with that. And then when they didn't strike it down and it stood, it just snowballs. It just becomes more and more restrictive. And like you said earlier, I mean, we're far more oppressed than they were in 1775. Yeah, we don't even have the right to choose our government. So we don't have the right to abolish our government or even change our government today. They've made laws against that are enforced by the badge thuggery. Your freedom is an illusion says something to you, Paul.
Yeah, I see that. Well, I've been pulled over once or twice.
Man,
thankfully, I've been pulled over when I should have been pulled over. But
knock on wood.
I will say that I mean, my perspective it differed from freedom's big time. My whole family was in law enforcement. I mean, my grandfather, my uncles, you know, police chiefs, and so I grew up with a respect for those guys, and I also I couldn't when people would tell stories, and I think I've shared this with you, Freedom. When people would tell stories about them being beat up or being abused by law enforcement, I'm like, well, you probably had it coming, and it wasn't until I got in a situation and I learned my lesson at the boots and fists of 6 St. Paul police officers who beat me to a bloody pulp. They didn't do anything until I got handcuffed, and once I was handcuffed, they beat me to a bloody pulp. And I'm like, dude, and it was a complete misunderstanding. It was a complete it was ridiculous. And my mind was changed overnight, and I went, holy crap, are you kidding me?
Let me guess. The whole time they were screaming, "Stop resisting!" as you're cuffed behind your back.
Well, I don't remember them saying anything. I remember them. I remember them coming up on me, and I had all the laser sights on me, and I got on the ground, and I said, "There's been a huge misunderstanding." And they said, "Well, and as soon as they got me cuffed, the boots came. And once they picked me up, and what I remember saying, dude, I'm on your side. This is a mistake." And all I remember then is, I got my head pounded into the door jamb of the car. I was filthy bloody, and I couldn't believe it. And I was charged pretty heavily on that one. I got all the charges dismissed, but it cost me $20,000.
Oh yeah, money plays a big part in the justice system today. You catch there's the justice system 100% is unconstitutional for the very reasons you see today. It wasn't supposed to be how it is. You now have a government that has unlimited funds prosecuting people that it takes. Let's just say you were to get arrested today and you had $100,000 in the bank, and you were selling firearms or drugs or you were doing whatever, it doesn't matter, selling fucking golf balls. They would take that money as part of the case. You know what I mean? That's what they do. They'll say, "Oh, Paul was selling motorhomes and he's got this $100,000 over here, but we think that it was for, these guns that he was buying and selling." So they'll take that money. They leave you penniless, just like with Justin and all the key cards. They took literally everything the dude has. How can you fight that?
And that the incident I'm talking about was not only about a gun, because I did have one, but that was when they charged me with the knife, possession of that. And they also charged, I didn't find out till years later, that they charged me with terroristic threats and possession of a Molotov cocktail, which was, the Molotov cocktail was my propane tank in my welding kit in the back of my vehicle. And that was the Molotov cocktail. The charges were an inch thick, and there was nothing wrong. I didn't literally. It was dismissed because there was.
Oh, nothing. You're lying, Paul. You must have told on somebody. Did you start working for the agency then? That's the only way your charges are dismissed, and we have to hold those charges against you for the rest of your life.
Well, look at what Ralph got a call all that weed.
Yeah, we know somebody that got caught with a bunch of weed in Tennessee. What did he get caught with? 5 pounds?
I forget. It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was like 5 or 10 pounds of weed, but he was a smoker for real. Like when he'd go on vacation, he would just drive around for like 3 months, right? Yeah. So he'd just take all his weed with him.
He was not selling it.
He gets pulled over, man, and they take him to jail and him with distribution and all kinds of shit in Tennessee, which that's like a big deal down there.
180 grand.
He paid $180,000 and it disappeared. How was that? How does it just disappear?
And they took whatever money he had in the
motorhome. They took all his cash from the motorhome too, and I'm sure it was probably $50,000 or $60,000 at least. But when a system is completely unfair and your ability to win or lose is based off of what they allow you to keep. It's not even about what you make or what you have. It's about what they allow you to keep. When they kicked in our door for the golf balls, they took everything. And when I say everything, I mean fucking everything. Well, the only things that we had was what we had on when we got arrested and when my kids went to their aunt's house.
Literally, and it was the biggest
and it was complete bullshit, brother.
Put everything.
I told you the whole story.
I know.
I'm not saying that I wasn't doing anything wrong, because I was, but I was definitely not doing what they said I was.
Right, but that kind of goes into another thing that's been on my mind lately is, in order to, you have to have. This might be getting now. You know what? Forget it. I don't want to talk about it right now. Never mind.
Ahead. No, come on.
Well, you have to have where's your line in the sand?
Right.
You have to have it predetermined. Like, I carry concealed weapon, everywhere I go, and I have a concealed carry permit for, pretty much everywhere. But, what's my line in the sand? Do I, and I've gone through these things, but it's like, do I help somebody in need, on the side of the road? If a cop's under fire on the side of the road, do I stop and help him? Do I stop and help him? Or do I just, is it for my family? I'm not out to shoot anybody, but you have to make those decisions. You can't make that decision. My point is, you can't make that decision in the heat of the moment. You have to already know what you're going to do before you come into it, if possible.
I think that when it involves somebody else, so you're driving down the road and there's a cop in a shootout with somebody, you for some reason have the option to kill the person or the cop. You don't know what started that. No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying to do this. I'm just saying as an exple.
You have no idea what the situation is.
Two people are in a gunfight. You pull up and you could kill. You could 100% pull the trigger one time and it would be over. Who do you help?
Right.
You don't know who's at fault. So when it comes
to the cop out of the situation, fuck the cop. Just two people. How do you cannot, in good conscience, get involved with that because you have no idea what's going on.
Right.
Look at the guy that just got that High Impact was showing the other day. I mean, he stopped. The cop got killed by a guy. He freaking went and got, I don't know if he had the cop's gun or whatever, but he was holding the guy that killed the cop, and the cops came and killed him.
Yep.
You saw that one, right?
Yep. That's justice, buddy. And nothing will happen to this fucking cops either. But if that was you, we would bury you under the jail. Like this qualified immunity shit has to go. And the argument is, well, then no cops will want to do their job. Well, the clerk down at 7-Eleven doesn't have qualified immunity, but she does her job. They choose to. I mean, cops get paid well today, dude. Very, 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 very well.
Well, and then they get perks too. I mean, they got way more perks.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, look at how much time they save by driving 100 miles an hour everywhere they go. I mean, they add like at least an extra hour to each day.
Yeah, or stopped at a stoplight. You have to stop there.
Right. Right. They. I don't know, man. I think it's, in all honesty, man, like I said, I don't think there's any saving it. I think that best case scenario, and at some point, there's going to be a call out made. Everybody who genuinely wants to be free, not these bullshit, freedom fighters that say, well, I'm anti red flag laws, I'm anti background checks, but the law should have stopped this guy. Piece of shit. I mean, like people who really want to be free. So somebody's going to make a call out. Everybody's going to have to move to the one state. But then the problem you have with that is the federal government's going to come in and smash that state. It's going to be another war of northern aggression. So you're going to have multiple states join in the compact. Whether it be Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Texas, Louisiana, or whatever. And if it's a state in the middle of the country, then you lose out on import and exports. You lose out on you won't be able to survive because the economy won't be able to grow. The federal government has consolidated so much power within itself that it's doing exactly what the anti-federalists were worried it was doing. It's doing exactly what Virginia knew it would do over a period of time. The founders, the Federalists had this ideal that people would take up arms, like over and over again. Federalist Papers, it says the people will take up arms. People ain't taking up arms because they're scared to death of the fucking consequences of doing so. Even just, if we just said, hey, we're going to go to Washington, we're going to go to this place and have an armed march. And if it was illegal there, they would arrest us for conspiring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wonder how concerned those guys were when we were going to go up and paint that mural up in Cincinnati. Remember that one?
Huh?
When we were calling up the city.
Yeah.
They were like waiting for us to get there.
Yeah, like they was not going to issue me a permit for that.
No.
Dude, I called everywhere. I did all the paperwork right. I did the paperwork multiple times for that shit. But because it didn't fit the narrative, and then I even started asking questions like, wait a second, where'd all this money come from? I know you guys said the BLM did some of the shit, but now they're using taxpayer money.
Yeah, how much did we figure in paint that they had? Where did that? Yeah, that was amazing.
Well, they used cops to shut the street down.
Right.
guard the street.
They removed it all right. I mean, they after.
No, I don't know. I don't think it's been removed.
I think
I'm not really. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's been removed because people followed up on what you started, and I think they. Don't quote me, but.
Well, if it was removed, I can assure you it wasn't because we were going to paint anything. It was because of the questions I started asking.
That was in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah. But they are now using taxpayer money to promote parties. What was it that I seen, Christy, that I called Ray Stell about? Downtown. It's been a while. I don't pay attention to any of that shit anymore, man. Just because it's a waste of energy because nobody really wants to join in. Even like the mural we were going to do, there was like 5 of us that were going to go do it. There's hundreds of people saying, "Yeah, this is a great idea." 5 people that was willing to show their face to do it.
Shit.
But like shit like that, the road we're going down. Like right now, they're talking about turning in people that you believe are extremists, or you have Facebook talking about you may have seen something that may make you an extremist. A year and a half from now, they're going to be going back on your Facebook and shit, and then arresting you based off of shit that you posted a year or 2 ago. They're going to take your kids. I mean, like, it's not, this shit ain't over. It's going to continue to get crazier.
Yeah,
they've already.
They have a restoration project that.
They're going to restore the mural.
Because the cars running over it did away with it, so they closed the street on June 21st and fixed the faded letters. We didn't know that it was gonna fade that quick, especially with the cars running over it.
Right. Well, like a lawyer, there wasn't a lawyer that would touch it. I must have called 50 civil rights attorneys, man.
The restoration project was privately funded last year, but this year the $118,000 will come directly from the city.
Right.
And then it says 70 to 80% of the money goes towards paying the artists directly. We should go and help them. We should go and help them paint the damn thing.
I'll volunteer.
$30 an hour. I'll paint whatever they want on the street.
Shit, I'll pay them $30 an hour to let me paint it.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll paint my own mural while we're down there.
Yeah, we could all sign up to go paint it and paint our own
just like that. That's ridiculous. Using taxpayer money to see. They're putting you in a position where like Black Lives Matter was genius in the sense that they created a slogan, a name, and a talking point all in the same thing. What, you don't believe Black Lives?
Did you say Black Beans Matter or Black Lives Matter?
Black Beans Matter.
Okay.
If you don't believe that Black beans matter, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? You're a racist.
Yeah.
No, I'm fucking halfway intelligent, and I see the problem with it. I have a major, I seen this shit coming a long time ago. Back when Christy and I first got together, we had conversations about, BET. If you had white entertainment television,
oh my God,
it wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. If we had our own month, if we had our own schools, our own scholarship programs, it wouldn't happen. Our own beauty pageants. Could you imagine a white-only beauty pageant? Get the fuck out of here. It's not going to happen, but we've allowed this country to decay so much and separate the society into these subgroups and shit that it's out of control and it won't stop. There's no stopping this shit. Best case scenario, we move together and hope for the best.
I'll share a quick story with you. I had a friend of mine of probably 15 years. I helped him buy a house. I probably hooked up with him through nefarious things in the past, but he'd become a friend over time, and a black guy, and like I said, I helped him find a realtor, and I considered him a friend. And he'd call if his plumbing was out, and I'd go do this and do that for him. He paid me to, do odd jobs in his house. And there was one day I went over there, he'd invite me over for barbecues. And this is probably a year and a half ago now during the Trump thing. He hated Trump, and he knew I loved Trump, so that was always an argument when we were there. And I love Trump for other reasons than Trump's not the savior. He's not Jesus, but I love Trump for being able to overturn things. But anyhow, that's a different subject. But
what do you overturn?
Oh Jesus! Let's not start about that right now.
No, keep going. We'll go back to that.
Let me finish the story.
Yeah.
So I went in there one day, and there had been a shooting in Minneapolis where the young kid, it was a 17-year-old kid who was driving, and he took his hands off the steering wheel, and he got shot by cops. And I said, and I've never understood. I mean, when the cops coming up to the car, you keep your hands on it, like you said. You keep your hands on the steering wheel. If they tell you to move them, you say, "Are you sure you want me to, do this? This is I don't want to get shot." So you don't go fiddling around with your hands or doing something stupid when they're there. But I said something to his two children who were mulatto, and he actually physically got up and called me a racist for bringing that up. And I said, have you taught your kids? I think it's important that we teach our kids, or have you taught your kids the procedures to happen when you get pulled over, the things that you should do. And he literally threw me out of his house physically. And, and he called me the biggest racist he's ever seen. And I'm like, dude, I am not racist at all. I mean, I taught my kid to do that. I mean, I teach everybody to do that. Turn the interior light on. Put your hands on the steering wheel. I mean, they're looking for any reason to shoot you, if they are or not. You know what I mean? We've talked about it before, but.
So Cobain Dorito says that Trump wasn't allowed to do anything. Trump did exactly what he was supposed to do. In 4 short years, he pushed the communist agenda ahead by decades by making you believe that he was your friend. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He had the House, the Senate, and the presidency for the first 2 years, and they did nothing. They're all on one team, man. There's no divide. Trump is a socialist Democrat.
He was also asking about Rena May earlier.
We'd already talked about the Rena May. He made a video supporting everything that he claims to be against. Yeah, it was all theater, TLR. 100% it was. It was about divide and conquer, man. Polarizing the country, making you believe that somebody is something that they're not. I mean, I'm still waiting for Hillary to get arrested. Wasn't that supposed to happen, 5 years ago?
Which one?
That's right. That's right. Right after Trump moved into the White House, 3 days later, he's at a banquet with Hillary, telling the world how great these two are, Bill and Hillary, for the country, or what all they did for the country. And still, Hillary hasn't been arrested. The bitch has killed more people is responsible for more deaths than the mob. Yet she's still walking around. Trump, like I said, if you don't believe me, think back 5 years ago. In 4 short years, Trump pushed the communist agenda ahead by decades. And all she had to do was stand on stage and say, I'm the most pro Second Amendment president ever. I hate those damn Democrats. And then they go out to steak dinners together and talk about they're going to argue about the next time.
No, I was, let me make this clear. I was a big Trump proponent in the beginning. And I did, and for the single reason that I thought that he would disrupt the swamp and the good old people who were in there, and I think part of what he was doing was that, but I don't disagree at all that he is a Democrat is part of that whole thing. You're totally right with the, I mean, his hands were tied. His hands were tied in some ways,
but they wasn't.
But they weren't tied in all the ways.
They wasn't tied at all. They wanted you to think they were tied.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. It was a facade. It was a facade.
Right. So
it's a different facade of what we're seeing now, which is a complete fucking moron who doesn't even know he couldn't tie his shoes if he wanted to in the presidency. It's all being run by people behind him.
Right. I don't disagree with that. But I mean, Cobain Dorita says, I don't think Trump was in on it. He was controlled or anything like that. Trump was 100. Listen, here's what happened. I've told this story before. Let me tell Cobain what happened here real quick, Paul.
Yeah.
So when Trump first started to run as an independent, it was Hillary, and I don't think what was the Republican. So how do you guarantee a Democratic win? You throw an independent in, have him get on stage and the whole time scream, I'm the most pro-Second Amendment president you'll ever have. And you split the Republican vote. Guaranteed win for the Democrat. Trump seen the support he got after he started screaming about all the right shit. He finally said, fuck you, let the power and greed go to his head. And he decided to run as the Republican against Hillary, because the only way you can guarantee a win besides splitting the vote is to make sure there's two Democrats running against each other.
True, but he was never supposed to win the presidency. The fix was in, just like the fix was in. He wasn't supposed to win.
No, he was supposed to win because he convinced the country that he was this savior, this this conservative who was a lifelong fucking Democrat. He convinced the country that, yes, he was. If Hillary would have been in office, we would not be where we're at today with all the shit that we see going on.
That's right. Well,
with Trump in office, though, they get it all by. The excuse is, well, his hands are tied. The deep state's against him. No, he's playing his role, man. It's all about control. There's not two teams of government fighting for their side. It's government against the people. And the government keeps taking more power, and they do it through this polarization.
Yeah, I agree. But let me see. I was going to ask you a question. So what do you think of this?
Hold on. I'm sorry. Your anger should be arrested. Your anger should be directed toward the deep state, is what Cobain says. Cobain, the deep state is about as realistic as Q is. The deep state is called government. The dickheads that are in government, they're all the deep state. Like all that Q deep state nonsense is all nonsense.
Anybody who believes in the Q conspiracy crap is a complete effing idiot. All it is designed to misdirect you, and it is if you look at it and they go, we predict this, we predict that, we predict this, we predict that. Nothing they've ever predicted has ever come true. Ever. Not even an ounce of it. It's totally freaking distraction.
Well, just like this. After this, I'm done with the Trump thing. Cobain, he says, why do you think they spend so much time smearing Trump? So you will fucking support him more. That's why. And then you make an excuse for everything he does. Oh, we had to ban bump stocks. He had to give him something. I mean, come on, man. Like, get that Trump shit out of here, dude. Trump is as fucking far left as Hillary is, as far left as Biden is. It's government against the people. Until you all get that separation anxiety or whatever it is in your brain out, that polarization type shit, believing that all
John says some people still believe wrestling is real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Some people believe wrestling is real.
Oh,
Jonathan. Yeah, Trump was a wrestler. You don't remember when he wrestled in the WWF?
Oh, yeah. Well, let me ask you this one. And put any politician in there, but let's go back to recently they came out with, these morons came out with a video or a movie, and they're talking about, I can't even remember the name of it right now, but it was, remember the hostages, Iran hostages, when Jimmy Carter was president? Crisis.
The Jimmy Hoffa scandal?
No, Jimmy Carter, president, the Iran hostage crisis.
Yeah. Okay.
400 and some days they were in. They took over the U.S. embassy and blah blah. And I mean, everybody's, as an American, I'm waiting. I'm like, dude, why aren't we going in there with everything, with everybody we have, and stomping the shit out of these people? But he finally came about and he said, and they did a they did an attack where they went in with 2 Apaches, and they hit a sandstorm, and the Apaches went down. The whole thing was a complete failure. And they recently, about within the last month, came out with a movie. They're trying to, I don't know where it's at, but I got an email on it saying it's like this is the most daring rescue effort ever proposed by anybody, and it's a documentary movie. But that said, and we talk about all the presidents and all the people are puppets, and they're all in the deep state. But just your thoughts on, so President Carter is a piece of shit wussy and wouldn't do jack shit about it. But President Reagan gets elected in, and he goes, if you don't frickin' release our prisoners like today, I'm going to frickin' come in there and I'm going to stomp you with a boot. And the next day they were released. I mean, how do you, when Carter would say that, nobody would believe him. When Reagan said it, the other countries believed him. I mean, is that all just, do you think that's all just marketing? Who gives a shit about other countries? I mean, foreign affairs. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is, but I mean, I'm sure that there's some people somewhere that do some shit because they are, you know, like if you go to some of them, go to the sandbox, a lot of them nations hate the USA just because of what they've been told. You know, they've bought the bullshit that they've been fed over there. You know, they hate me because of something my government does. Let me say charge my phone's about to die. You know, like there's not a deep state. It's called government. And the deep state is just, you know, this a psyop type deal where you have somebody to blame but the person that you support. You know what I mean? It's always about, oh, well, he couldn't do this and he couldn't do that because they were working against him. You know? He did exactly what he was supposed to do, which was to further control you, to get more control out, you know, empower the government more. I'm sorry for your vibrations, guys. My phone's vibrating. If I turn it down, it'll mess up the stream. Actually, hang on one second. I'm going to try to turn it off. Hang on one second. All right, I'm back. My bad. But that's all it was. They polarized the. I mean, look what happened, especially in the Trump era. It was about polarization. It was nonstop fighting, left versus right, liberal versus conservative. You know, quote unquote conservative. And all you have is the conservative party. Obama,
you know,
right. But it picked up pace under Trump though, and
sure.
You know now you have the conservative, self-proclaimed patriot party that is as much an enemy of freedom and the rights of the people as the left is that they support, and they support them unknowingly, you know, through through the bullshit. They're buying into the, well, his hands were tied, or he couldn't do anything. You know, whatever the excuse is of the week for why he did what he did. You know, not like go back and look at all of his campaign promises. He didn't follow through on any of them. Not fucking one. Not one. Well, that's the deep state's fault.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's because he never intended on it. That's all the talk was about, getting you to support him so they can further control us, and it works. Like I said, in 4 years, he pushed communism ahead by decades. Fucking, if you'd have told me 6 years ago that the president of the United States would be saying, turn in your extremist family members to the country or to the world, I'd have told you that you're smoking crack.
Hey, pull up Cobain Dorito comment.
You said they are puppets, but then say there is no deep state. Who do you think the puppet masters are? That's the deep state. You're misunderstanding. So the deep state, the belief of the deep state is that there's a few people in government that are they're ingrained in government, like people like Dianne Feinstein who you know control everything. And it's not. It's bigger, man. If you believe that Trump was in any way
anything other than a Democrat, it would take me a week to explain it to you. Go back and watch some previous videos where I talk about it. It's bigger than that, man. There's a handful of families that control everything that happens, that have their hands in everything that happens in this world. So you talk about the Rothschilds, the royal family, about 7 other families. And it's about money, power, and greed. That's what it's about. But until we can ever get to that fight, until that's ever before that can ever be a concern of ours, we have about 7 barriers to get through that they've insulated themselves with.
Yeah, it's always been about money, power, and greed. I mean,
right.
from the creation of man. I mean, it's nothing. You know, life is dangerous. Nothing's going to change. It's on this path, and yeah. I mean, well, I don't want to change the subject now, but you were talking earlier in your video about the whole slavery thing in the Indians. I mean, I don't want to switch topics right now.
Now, please do.
Topic, but let's say that again.
Please do. Like, I hate talking about Trump. Like, I mean, if people are still buying that Trump was anything other than a far left socialist, then like at this point, there ain't much I can help you with. No,
and that's the exact the division of the state. You know, we're in worse shape right now than we've ever been. And,
right.
Anyhow, what was I saying? I don't want to go on the slavery issue either, though. That's a whole nother crappy. I want to go on something positive.
You were supposed to write these things all positive.
Positive, man. You know.
Here's my Streamlab link, and you can do super chats through it. I wonder if the little guy will run across the stream in Streamlabs if you donate to that.
While you're on it?
Yeah.
You're supposed to, I think. Because it's the actual...
Yeah. I'm going to start I told somebody today, I told our little chat group today, I'm like, I'm going to start charging people $1 to raise money. Since nobody donates, I'm just going to start charging $1 and blocking everybody who doesn't donate.
You're excited. But you can do those, like, we'll join things.
I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
I've got to turn it into CRS. So CRS made a video. You're going to like this. So you remember I made the video in Reno May said I was full of shit about how much money they make. He made a video stating that if you have 10,000 subs, you could retire. And at 3,000 subs, if you're doing it right, you're making 10 grand a month. But he didn't do it right. That's what I said.
That's not right, but...
Right. Well, I mean, he's got 120,000 subs, and people were saying I was full of shit by saying he makes 150 grand a year.
Well, he could make that.
He does make that.
Yeah.
Just from YouTube.
Yeah, I believe that. Well, yeah. Did you see when he got up and realized he was demonetized? I mean, he was literally weeping on the video.
Well, I think that was because he lives like a rock star. We had that conversation when we were still talking. I'm like, dude, they're going to pull the rug out from under your ass, and you're going to be living like a rock star, and that rock star dream is going to come to a fucking abrupt halt. I know how it works. I know how the algorithm works. I know what I can do and I can't do. I'm like, all right, man, you do what you want to do, but that's what's going to happen. You probably save some of your money instead of jacking it all off.
And have you seen on his when he's doing a video, on occasion, he'll be sitting there behind the counter because he's bored doing the video, and the door will open and somebody will come in and they'll cut it short and have to cut out and take care of the customer, which is cool. I'm totally down with that. But I realized that he's at that point when I saw that happen, I thought, how fun would it be to like drive up out front, wrap a big towel around my head, and just run in and go, and run around the top, and then just run out. And I don't know. That's how my mind works.
What you guys doing? Give me that ball.
Hold on one second. My
There's
dogs.
two.
My dogs are acting like idiots.
There's two.
I know. Okay. Well, they're both focused on this one. Come over here, Deezy. Come on. Look at Mama shot, Diesel.
Look at Mommy back.
My dogs are weird. Hey, no. Get
Go
your
get
ass
your
over
ball.
here. Go get your own damn ball.
Your ball's over there.
Come here.
Go pull him. Now he gets.
They want to get. They're like. It's weird. Like they don't want something, and if one has it, they both want it. Like
Even
just
if there's
now.
two.
Even if there's two. So there was one tennis ball. The one dog was just looking at it. The other dog was just looking at it. But she was looking at it like, you touch it, I'm going to eat your ass up. So when Christy got another ball for the dog, now they forgot about that ball, and now they're focused on this tennis ball. It's the weirdest shit. It's like a dominance thing, man, and I don't know how to beat it out of them. I'm just kidding. I don't beat my dogs. Well, I need to get it out of them and let them know that I'm boss and that they need to quit trying to decide who the hierarchy, because there is no hierarchy. They are the pets, and I am the boss. Quit it. Nova, quit. Come here. Come here, Nova. Y'all see how big these dogs are getting, man. If he's controlling you, would have never been allowed to call out the globalist and the Clinton. Come on, Cobain, man. Like, dude, just stop it with the Trump stuff. We've moved on.
And yeah, I mean, that's, again, that is part of the distraction.
Right.
Distraction to distract us from the truth.
Right. It's the polarization.
Yep.
You know, just to make you to believe that something that is completely true is not true, and then you've given all the same. Nothing you have said is any different than every other Trump supporter has said for the past 4 years. He can do whatever he wants by executive order, not constitutionally, but they do it anyway. But there's all these damn Democrats, so he can't do this. He can't do this because all these damn Democrats. He sure as fuck didn't have anybody in his way banning bump stocks.
Okay, so if we keep talking about Trump, I'm going to silence him.
Christy's going to silence you. Keep talking about Trump, she said. I don't blame her. We've already had this conversation for 5 years.
We keep asking nicely, and like we're done talking about Trump, and you get again another comment. So that's it.
He's mad.
It's okay. He'll, we got
I'm not.
talk about it.
I know, man. Like I said, I mean, I've been saying, I don't think if people see it by now, they're not ever going to see it. They will make excuses until the end of time to why something happens. It's simple. Go back 5 years ago and look how the world was. I get it. Things were kind of, obviously they gradually get more and more fucked up. They were super accelerated during the Trump era. Why? Because it was allowed to happen because everybody blamed the damn Democrats.
So who would you rather party with, Trump or Clinton? I mean, in the day.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Party how? What's my intent?
Get rock and roll, sex, and drugs.
Do I get to overdose them?
No. Well,
neither. They'd be lame.
Either way, I mean, I guess, yeah, if you go back to some of those movies where, could you take out Hitler beforehand, if you knew?
Right.
I don't.
Nah, I wouldn't know. Neither one of them, man. I don't dig people like that, man.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I had a thought in my head of Willie Nelson's book. He was meeting Clinton somewhere, and he was staying in the Lincoln bedroom when Clinton was president, and he was talking to Bill, and he said, "Is there anywhere I can safely, smoke a joint or something around here?" And Bill said, "Yeah. Oh, come with me. I got just a spot for you." And that's in Willie's book. I'm not saying it ever happened. I'm just saying Willie Nelson said it happened. And so they went up on top of the White House and smoked a joint together, according to Willie Nelson.
Yeah, I bet Willie did some crazy shit in his time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he has because he's broke.
You think?
I know that he was broke for a long time. He was he owed back taxes in huge amounts, and
That's
went
crazy.
completely broke.
That taxation shit's insane, man, and it only allows for government growth. Like, people don't understand our amendment process was intended to further restrict government, not further expand government. That's all they've used it for. I mean, everything past the 13th Amendment, on is all unconstitutional. All of it, because what came before it was unconstitutional. It's been done nothing but to expand government.
Yeah, Willie Nelson has an estimated net worth of $25 million, which is peanuts for where he should be.
Ah, shit, I'll take 25.
Shit.
I mean, that's peanuts. I mean, just send it over. Could you imagine $25 million? That would be like.
Well,
25. You got $25 billion. You have one day to spend it. What's the first thing you buy?
a Ferrari.
I'm disappointed.
Sorry, dude. It's a Ferrari, man. I want one so bad. I would literally commit murder for one.
Wow.
What do you want me to buy for one day?
No, like you only have a day to spend it. You get to keep whatever you buy.
Oh.
You have $25 million you got to spend in one day. What's the first thing you buy?
I know it's a trick question. What?
It's not a trick question at all. I'm just curious. Like me, I would find that perfect place. The land with the house, with the garage.
But you can't. You don't even own it if you buy it.
I know, man.
Buy the island, man. Buy the Jeffrey Epstein Island or something. But then you got to buy your own. Then you got to buy your own F-16. You got to buy your own little Navy vessel. I mean,
out there in a bathtub with the cannon on the front of it.
Fucking right.
Yeah, I mean, just like that, man. Like tax, like that is the stupidest shit in the world. Property taxes, and it funds so much crazy shit. You know,
I mean, it's not even yours. I mean, if I had, well, you can't do it for 25 million. You'd need, 2, 3, 4, 500 million. But you got to get off this country,
right.
Go Bahamas or some. I don't know. Even then, but that just makes me think of if you do the numbers for like the national debt. I don't want to go into the national debt thing, but if I don't even High Impacts was talking about the last stimulus thing for 21 trillion or whatever the hell it was.
2.6 or 6.2.
But you'd have to spend $1 million every day for the last 2,000 years to today to get to that point, to spend that kind of money. I mean, $1 million a day for 2,000 years.
Right. But, I mean,
our minds can't even grasp that.
Right. I mean, but the numbers that when we talk numbers, okay, so like when we talk about money, it's real to us because we live week to week, day to day, month to month, year to year. These guys, once they get in those positions of power, it becomes something different, right? So they don't have to worry about it anymore. I mean, think of how corrupt our monetary system is. We borrow money from a private corporation, the Federal Reserve. It's widely known. It's open public information that is privately owned. They print money that we then have to give back with interest because they printed it, because they own the fucking printing presses. Right. And then if you create money, they call that counterfeiting, and you will go to federal prison over it. And like people just stand by and just let the shit happen. They just watch it happen.
Old Cobain said something here a while. Probably.
I know they're arguing about it over here. They're arguing about the Trump.
But I mean, I know.
So here, let me. I just want to explain something real quick to Faith. Faith, I talked about Trump for 5 years. So when people come into a chat, I've already said you should go back and watch the last 5 years of videos. But then they keep commenting. And then they comment
over and over
right,
and over.
And that was it. It was about Trump over and over and over and over again. And then in the end, he says, "I don't even like Trump." Well, yeah, you do, because you're making every excuse everybody else is making. Go back and watch the last 5 years of videos. If we had to have the conversation every video about somebody new wants to come in and talk about, then I'll be talking. I'll just make it, we'll call it Trump something. I said way back in the chat, I said, hey, just go watch the last 4 or 5 years of video, because if you're still supporting Trump and think that his hands were tied, I can't help you.
Right. I mean, we didn't say anything other than we're moving on from that subject. I mean, there's,
right.
Cobain, dude, there's a link. Join us, man. Seriously, I mean, that's what's so cool about Freedom Inc. stuff.
Didn't you say that too?
Yeah, said it too. I just can't focus on the same thing, every video. There's always somebody saying something about Trump. And like, I've said it recently. I've said this: if people don't see at least what has been going on up until this point, when it comes to Trump, when it comes to the police,
shut up.
when it comes to whatever, like, I can't help much people.
Oh my God.
Who said to shut? Who told somebody to shut up? I just said we're not talking about that no more.
I don't think Faith. I don't think anybody shut him off.
Christy said she was going to put him in timeout because I had already asked nicely that, hey, we're just going to move on. I try to interact with people in the comment section as we're talking if I can.
Right.
If I had to be talking about something that we
I
already
don't think
talked about.
Christy shut him down, right?
No, she didn't.
Nope.
Yep.
And for some reason it continues.
But what did you write down? You said you was going to write some stuff down for us to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
He mentioned it.
that's from way back before.
Huh?
I said I've got it written down, but I don't know where now.
Oh, come on now.
You didn't plan. You didn't plan for that.
Hot. Sport rain is hot. It was like 90 degrees here today or something. And I took Silas out to my brother's and dropped his four-wheeler off out there so he could ride. So it's out there now so he can ride it. And he rode around for about, 2 or 3 hours at least, wasn't it? And my brother had 2 big oak trees fall in his yard. And he's been telling me for 2 weeks he's been working on these oak trees. I went out there and there was like a couple logs cut in like a little pile of brush about as big as my PT Cruiser. So I called my brother. I was like, hey, man, I want to cut on this tree while I'm here. He's like, don't worry about it, it's too hot. I'm like, no, I'm here. He's driving around in circles. So while he's driving around in circles, I need something to do or I'll be ready to go. Then he won't get to drive around in circles. So he's like, all right, if you want to. So he told me where the chainsaw was at and shit. And I guess it just slipped my mind because I looked at the chainsaw on the rack and I grabbed it. And I dicked with that thing for 45 minutes trying to get it started. Couldn't get it started. The carburetor's adjusted. The carburetor's cleaned on it or something. So finally I remembered something about this thing, this freezer. And I went over and looked in the freezer and ta-da! And when I opened it up, you know how like on SpongeBob when he opens the treasure chest and it's like gleaming light in his face? So I opened up the freezer, and what's in the freezer? A brand new steel saw, gas, and bar oil. But I cut in 3 hours. I cut twice as much as he had in 3 weeks. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to go over there this weekend probably, and well, no, not this weekend. Probably Monday or Tuesday. Go over there and try to get the trees cut up for him. And they're monster trees, man. I mean, the one has to be at least 36 inches across, at least, not bigger. I mean, huge trees, but they were rooted down in what is like it's not a flowing creek, but when it rains, water runs down through there like a creek. It runs off from the ditch up by the road. So when it rained, they had like a mild tornado go through there, and it blew a bunch of trees down everywhere, but it dropped 2 big ass oak trees right in his backyard. You know what I got the idea to do and we should do? Build a dugout canoe. There's cottonwoods up there by you, ain't there?
Oh yeah. Dude.
I like to build a dugout canoe. I think that'd be cool. This is shit that goes.
Would be cool. I mean, any of those canoes would be fun. The birch bark, and even the cedar, cedar strip canoes. The newer version ones.
Well, I've been watching a lot of like primitive stuff lately. So I find it really interesting that the Indians, a lot of mainly the Indians, how they looked at animals and they found what power the animal had, and then that animal represented that power. And I forget what this little animal's called, man. They're super short. They're only about 6 inches long, but they could kill a rabbit. So they would skin these things and put them on their spears because they believed that they obtained the power of that animal because it had great power because it was so small and would kill these huge, compared to it, these huge 4 or 5 pound rabbits. They would, like they believed that they could harness the power of those animals, like wearing necklaces with wolf toe bone necklace.
Right.
They believed that they would harness the power of the wolf. The wolf was this honorable, loyal, fierce creature, and they would harness that power from the animal. I think it's like these things. I question things. So, in order, if like. Oh, okay. You don't want to get on that. We're not going to start talking.
No. But I understand where you're going with it, and I don't disagree with that at all. And it's I'm okay with going spiritual stuff. I just don't want to debate Bible stuff.
Oh, right. Well, what I'm saying is,
I don't want to debate religion.
Okay, I'll say this and we'll move. You ain't even got to answer this, but if you buy what the Bible says 100%, then you also have to say that every person who never seen the Bible prior to its existence or even after went to hell. So did the Indians go to hell because they believed that nature and what around them was their gods?
Let's talk about that off subject.
Okay.
I do have an answer for that, but I don't want to get into it with you right here.
All right.
But the whole spiritual thing about the American Indians, and actually all the primitive humans, there's power in life. There's power in, you kill a bear and you got the bear claw. And are you kidding me? That's huge mojo stuff going on, and I'm not going to argue that at all. Oh my God.
Like just the way they made shit, man. The way that they would tan hides and then use the hides for their own clothing to stay warm in the winters in these cold climates. Like brain tanning as an example. How many thousands of years did it take for some fucking Indian to decide to take the brains out of an animal and use it to tan its hide? They say that every animal has enough brains to tan its own hide. Do you know that? Are you familiar with brain tanning at all?
No.
Okay, so it's like tanning, but they use the brain as the tanning solution. So you boil the brain and mix it up in water, and then once you stretch the hide, you put the solution on there, which gives it its elastic. Once that solution seeps through the back of the hide into the hair follicles, it gives the hide it gives it back its flexibility, right? And then you smoke it, and they call it brain tanning. But the Indians are the ones who came up with that, the Native Americans here in the States. So how many thousands of years did they tan shit before they realized that you could use the brain of the animal to tan it, and it actually was the best form of tanning? It's just like now, like who thinks of some of this shit? Like who's sitting around one day like fucking let's try those let's put some brain, let's boil some brains in some water and throw it on there and see what happens.
Well, I'll say this. If you think about it, I've said this for years. If it wasn't for a handful of people, and if you go back to 2,000, 3,000 years, 5,000 years, let's consider that handful 150 people. If it wasn't for the ideas that they had, we'd still be dragging our women into caves by their hair, and the Einsteins, where did he get his ideas? Where did, what changes, where does all that come from? Does that knowledge just come from man? Or does it come from, and I'm not talking Bible stuff or anything, does it come from something given to us? These guys have, you can't argue that we're living in a universe that's created. I don't think you'd argue that.
Right.
But, so that this coming into that whole thing, it's, You know, those guys have revelation that was given to them to create all this time in life, and you know, uh, but even then, we've lost all that tanning hides. Are you kidding me? Who the frick tans hides anymore? You know, I think we should be. I think we should all be learning. That should be what we learn in school.
Listen, I'm leaning more and more. Like I've been watching a lot on it. I want to read on it because I tend to think that reading, you grasp onto things more by reading than watching if you're not hands-on watching. But like I want to get into doing that shit, man. Like I want to learn how to. I want to go wild, bro. Like for real. I know that sounds crazy, but like, you know, like I was watching a lot of the Mountain Men series. So do you know Glenn from the guy that lived on the lake on Life Below Zero? Glenn?
The old guy?
No, the young dude. What they had the suppressor and shit on the 30-06. So he, as a 13-year-old, he walked the whole trail from Maine. It's a Vermont trail. I don't know, all the way from the bottom of like Vermont or the bottom of Maine all the way to Canada at 13. And then he decided that he wanted to go live wild. So he found this, long story short, he winds up where they filmed the show at. And he like knew nothing about it. Like he moved to Fairbanks and learned some shit from a few people. And then, but like you can sustain yourself from nature if you just know how to do it. And like we've lost touch with that, man. Like like my kids, like I told them tonight at dinner, I was like, how much better would this dinner taste if you knew that you had raised it yourself? Like, you know, the steak, the meat, the vegetables, you know, how much better would it taste? They kind of looked at me like I was retarded, but still.
Well, not how much better would it taste, but well, I agreed with that. But then you wouldn't have time to come up with all this other stupid shit.
Right.
You know, to try and invoke on your fellow man. But
well, I think that, you know, another thing that dude said was that you will never be freer than he's been out there. You know, like at one time he stayed out there, you know, by himself for 15 months or something. Long time to be by yourself. But you know, there's a lot of truth to that. You know, even though that, you know, has the, you know, created, you know, make his own food or grow his own food or hunt his own food, his own, you know, warmth, you know, 8 months out of the year, he's cutting firewood daily. You know, he's still freer than we are. Any of us are here, you know. Another one of them from one of those shows, Mountain Men, used to said that when he moved into a teepee when he was 17 and lived in a teepee, dude, for like years.
right.
He's like, you know, when I first did this 35 years ago, people told me I was crazy. How did he say it? I needed to come back to reality. He's like, I'm going to reality. You all are living a false sense of reality in your modern day television ran. And like, dude, like there's a lot of truth in them dudes that live like that. You know, I know some people in Tennessee that still, you know, they still don't have electric or running water to this day. And
Faith just posted something there. Glenn was on the Joe Rogan podcast. How long ago was that?
Yeah, I listened to part of it.
How was that, recent or a while back?
I don't know if it was recently or not. I didn't look to see when it was. I just kind of went through and watched the clips. I need to go watch the whole thing. Dude's super intelligent, though. Super intelligent, never graduated high school. He said he really dropped.
There's no reason to go to high school if you're intelligent.
Right. Well, he said he dropped out of school for real like the 4th grade. And then he went back in high school just to see what it was about. He decided he didn't like it.
No.
You know, like I agree with that, man. Like, you know, I think that math is a subject. I mean, the problem is you don't know what your kids are going to do with their future. You know, my kids love gaming, trading loves programming stuff. So to become a programmer, he obviously has to, whether or not he needs it or not, he has to go through the motions of learning that bullshit they want him to learn, which a lot, you know. I don't know, man. I just hope my kids do better in life than I did. I talk, every time I get them alone, I talk to them about it, him and Silas separately, and try to tell them, like, you know, you get one shot, man. You know, you screw it up, and it's hard to come back from. And you're always going to have that stain on you. It doesn't matter if you chose You know, you can be the biggest piece of shit in the world and turn your life around 180 degrees and become a saint, and people are still going to look at you like you're a piece of shit.
I'm just reading the comments here.
I don't hear it.
The truth was, Einstein was another puppet and took 2 pictures of him on a ceiling heels in the grass. They are not what they seem to be.
Yeah, I mean, but there's a handful of people that if they didn't exist, life would be way different for the rest of us right now. I mean,
Exactly.
Jeff Bezos, whoever the dude was that created the internet, you know, Bill Gates. And I'm not saying that them dudes are smart or I'm not saying what they have done was good. I'm just saying that I think that we would be way freer if we lived that way, if we was 100% relying on ourselves to, like, I've been researching lately about preserving meats. How do you preserve meat in the summertime, you know, when it's 90 degrees outside and you don't have a freezer? Like, I want to learn how to do that shit. Like, before I die, I will be self-sufficient, period. I will be 100% self-sufficient, period. Butchering, processing, and preparation of meat. Oh, no shit.
Yep.
We got to butcher Randall. We just got to figure out how to preserve it.
Yeah, but he sleeps like 12 hours a day.
Well, not when, but that's because he's used to eating all these processed foods.
Working. He has a job.
But butchering is probably a pretty hard job, you know, especially when you're butchering large animals.
I butchered, just a couple of pigs, and I butchered, whatever. But yeah, that's no easy job.
Right. Like I killed one deer in my life. My brother, we went totally opposite directions. It's really weird. We grew up in the same house and went completely opposite directions in life. And like the first deer I killed, I was on a hunt with him, and we didn't see nothing all day. The first day we went out, I got tired. It was only about a mile from my house, so he left. He's like, I'm going to sit down over here, and I'm going to drive him up to you. You sit right here. And, he was worried about me getting a buck. He ran a 12-point buck, dude, or 10-point buck. I'm sorry, right by where I was sitting at, dude. I'd done one home, went to bed. An hour after I was there, I was a kid, and I was probably 10, 12 years old. So then we leave there, and we're driving down the road, and my first buck was I didn't shoot it from the truck. I got out and I shot it, but it wasn't very sporty, to say the least. Little spike buck, little 4-point or something. But that, my brother, field dressed that deer, and I helped him with it, but like, could I do that today? If I had to, I could figure it out. If I had to, for Diesel here, if I had to flay him open and get some meat out of him, I bet you I'd find the meat. But could I do it in an efficient way to be able to preserve the meat for later consumption? I want to learn how to do that stuff. I want to learn how to field dress game animals. I want to learn how to butcher cows. I want to learn how to butcher pigs. I want to learn how to grow them. I want to learn how to, grow a sustainable garden. I want to learn how to grow a winter sustainable garden. I want to know how to do all that shit, man. I want to build a log cabin. I literally want to buy some raw land, and with the exception of maybe the subfloor, the foundation, I want to build, a whole log cabin from the timber there on the land, which is hard to do today because in a lot of places you got to have, your tax paid lumber that's stamped. It's up to code or whatever. When you can, like, a lot of people don't know how to build with raw cut lumber. I'm sure I could figure it out, but you could buy a planer, I guess, and plane everything out if you had to. What would it cost to get an old sawmill and do that? Cut up everything for a log cabin and build it on your property. Like, I'm ready to go back to the wild, man.
Yeah. I forgot.
What are you doing?
I'm just typing in. I was looking in building log cabins.
What's up? What's up, buddy? You all right? My dog
Um,
just jumped up. I have a bad dream or something.
No, there's a. I was looking. I have a CD or a DVD, and if nobody's ever watched this before, it's called Dick Pronek, Alone in the Wilderness. And actually, there's some YouTube stuff on it. Actually, got the whole thing on YouTube. And this guy, I don't know what year he did it, but he's like he was like pre YouTube stuff. All his videos on 8mm, and he's 70 years old when he starts this thing, and he builds a log cabin out in the middle of. He's in the United States, I think, up in Montana or something, and it's incredible. He hikes in his tools, the steel tools, and then he makes the out of those tools he makes handles for his steel tools, and then it'll blow your mind. You'll watch the whole thing. I'll send you a link to what he's got, but
cool. Just like that, man. I would like to learn how to blacksmith. I mean, I like to work with metal. I like welding. I'd like to be able to build, axes and knives and shit like that. I'd love to learn how to blacksmith. My buddy, I got a good friend of mine who knows how to blacksmith, but he's not in the best physical shape right now, the best physical health. He's actually in the hospital right now. I don't know, man. But I think I'm going to jump off here, Paul. We've been on here a couple hours, and I got to jump in the shower.
Bless you, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
You too, brother. Stay safe, man.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, thank you. Thank y'all. Bye.
Bye.